interview because rate cut here yesterday, rate cut there, being New Zealand, likely next week. And that's despite signs of business confidence on both sides of the Tasman remaining relatively strong over the past few months. But as always, the devil is in the detail. Johnny Weiss, he's the CEO of the Trans-Tasman Business Circle, and he joins me now live. Johnny, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Pretty interesting research that you're presenting, because what it's showing us is that companies in New Zealand are more optimistic about their own outlook rather than the economy as a whole. So what do you put that down to?
I believe, Nadine, we have a great resilience among our business, and in fact in both countries. We are led by good leaders who feel that by being innovative and responding quickly themselves, they can do have much more control than over the economy as a whole.
You believe that it comes down to government, because there's been a lot of criticism in the wake of the Reserve Bank Board cutting interest rates yesterday, that they were sort of forced into it. Their back was against the wall because policymakers are not helping on a level when it comes to fiscal policy. You don't agree, or is it a different situation in New Zealand?
New Zealand is a little bit different, much more confidence about the role of the government in the economy, much more stability, and the policy settings have been established for quite a while. In Australia, of course, leading up to the election, the last 4 or 5 years have been not stable, to say the least. And now since the election, we're getting back into, I guess, the new normal, where this is what we accept. The world markets are still very unsettled, and we've just got to get on with our own businesses and create the opportunities rather than wait only for government to do so.
So what has the government been doing in New Zealand then that has made companies optimistic?
We've seen now, with the key government and with Bill English as Treasurer, 7 years of very, very solid economic reform, setting the policy up front, very few surprises, being very significant about what the role of government is, and then getting out of the way and allowing business to go forward. And we see great vitality in the New Zealand business community because of the assurance that government gives on the policy setting. We also see great vitality in Australia, and we've just got to pick up that vitality and have much more confidence in ourselves rather than wait for government. We've got to go out there and seize those opportunities, and we believe we can.
Is it also because of some of the key public sector reform that we've seen in New Zealand? For example, in Australia, the parties were arguing about how much money should be spent, whereas in New Zealand, the government's approach there is measuring results rather than dollar spend.
Indeed, Nadine, this is a very exciting opportunity. We look in business at the role of big data. We look at customer engagement. How do we bring our data together? The New Zealand government has used this business tool in its public sector, particularly in the welfare. It says we shouldn't beat our chests about spending more money. We can spend the same amount of money, but we can do it better, earlier, intervening, and we can do it in terms of where and which resources we apply. So in New Zealand, the welfare rolls have declined. By intervening early, New Zealand uses data to pick up vulnerable families long before they get onto the welfare rolls. And by applying the money early in the piece, rather than having generational long welfare cases, they've shaved about $12 billion off their welfare rolls in the last 4 years, and up to, I believe, 900,000 years of benefits that have been saved by intervening early in vulnerable families. We're adopting that in Australia. Very exciting.
Oh, that's interesting. Can you tell us what the challenges are that, I guess, the Trans-Tasman business leaders tell you that they're facing? Does it come down to, I guess, policy? Does it come down to finding good staff? What are some of the hurdles to success?
Well, Nadine, we've seen in the last few months the fact that our leaders are finding it a little bit easier to find staff. This is very consistent with what the Reserve Bank noted yesterday about the potential for higher unemployment. We certainly see the push into Asia as a big area that many of them do want to push forward to. Shareholders are not so embracing of investing in Asia, we've seen with some of our major companies. So we see great energy in our companies here, trying to overcome some of the labour shortages, certainly the skill shortages that we have, and the push to go global and not just depend on the local market.
Okay, Johnny Weiss, thank you so much for joining us.
Nadine.
Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you.